I so submit. Thank you, President. Mr. Scott-Leung. Thank you, President. Starting from last year, the government has been announcing calendar of mega events in Hong Kong. Over 210 mega events will bring $7.2 billion economic benefits. There will be great economic benefits. When it comes to mega events, the government needs to upgrade signature or flagship events. Say fireworks display in Japan, they hold fireworks events every year. There are food kiosks. The Haneda fireworks event attracted over 1 million visitors. There were over 400 million revenue, recording over 800 million Hong Kong dollars revenue through this event. Administrative expenditure only cost 2.3 million Hong Kong dollars. The return on revenue is some three times. The fireworks events in Japan are good examples. They drive the local economy with these events, so we can learn from Japan. On Chinese New Year's Eve or on both sides of Victoria Harbour, we can hold fireworks events. We can show fireworks displays. We can also have bazaars for visitors to not only watch fireworks displays, they can also spend at the kiosks nearby. This can generate economic benefits. In different sports events and concerts, similar modes are also adopted to introduce immersive tourism experiences. Just now, Ms. Nixie Lam mentioned Pokemon Go. This game is no longer all the rage in Hong Kong, but I beg to differ. This Saturday, we're going to hold Pokemon Go City Safari. The trainers of Pokemon Go will capture Pokemon characters all over Hong Kong. In Kowloon City, Shatin, Changzhou, there are different routes. In Japan, Korea, Taiwan, this event was held in these areas. They attracted a lot of visitors to these countries. In Tainan, within a day, it attracted over 300,000 visitors to the area, bringing over 500 million Taiwan dollars. This is a highly cost-effective event. From the website of the Tourism Board, it mentions this activity with plain text. The administration said that they had tried to locate venues, try to secure venues, give suggestions on routes and so on. In Kowloon City, there are relevant routes. When I asked stores, people living in the area, they didn't know Pokemon Go City Safari would be held this Saturday in their area. The government didn't make good use of this opportunity. The government should continue to ramp up publicity efforts to plan in advance, to have more check-in spots and kiosks. The government can also work with hotels to launch special packages to enrich tourism experiences so that more economic benefits can be generated. The government should also include Hong Kong traditions and combine them into the in-depth tourism tours in Hong Kong, so they will feel the special charm and appeal of Hong Kong. While taking forward events capital, emphasizing both quality and quantity is very important. So after holding mega events, the government needs to take stock of the mega events to think which mega events should be kept and which should be further promoted in order to upgrade them, and we can build our own brand as a result. I speak in support of the motion and the amendments. Thank you, President. Mr. Yang Wen-kit. Thank you, President. I support the motion moved by Mr. Kenneth FOK. Hong Kong organized more than 200 mega events, bringing extra revenue to the hotel and the tourist industry. They also provide a lot of job opportunities for the grassroots in Hong Kong. We need to adjust the arrangements in order to upgrade our status as an events capital. We need to generate more economic benefits. So what are high-value added mega events? Concerts are definitely one of them. Many concert goers travel afar just to watch a concert. I have been mentioning the fact that we need to make good use of the concert economy. There are also suggestions on metaverse concert. We couldn't invite Taylor Swift, but we managed to invite Coldplay to Hong Kong. There will be 4 concert tours. At least 1 billion Hong Kong dollars would be generated from this Coldplay tour. These are tangible benefits that we can see. Coldplay is the first mega event in Hong Kong. I mean the first concert mega event. Attracting stars to come to Hong Kong is a sustainable opportunity and responsibility. Unfortunately, concerts aren't mega events. They are simply business decisions from the perspective of the government. We need to treasure talents. We also need to treasure pop stars, pop singers. We need to look into possibility of collaboration. For overnight visitors, we also need to work in this area. For the Coldplay tour, there are packages comprising concert tickets as well as hotel packages. And I believe visitors would definitely be more than willing to stay for a few days in Hong Kong after the concert. A straightforward policy can revitalize the concert economy. An obstacle to developing events capital is the venue of holding concerts. There will be more concert venues holding over 200. There will be a venue with a capacity of over 80,000. Many international singers are asking about the availability of the local venues. We need to continue to catch up. Central Harbourfront will construct a building in the area, and it takes some 7 years to build this ventilation building. There is no lack of suitable venues, but in the long run, the government needs to have more stadiums, including open-air venue. We need to make good use of Ngong Ping, West Kowloon, Cultural District, and so on. There are calls for revamping the booking system of local venues. We need to remove red tape in order to maximize the benefits. I hope the government will build Hong Kong into a place where concert goers make a tour to Hong Kong. That is, they will make a pilgrimage to Hong Kong. After watching Hong Kong Sevens at Hong Kong Stadium, they will go to the pub and continue to spend. This is exactly an example of creating synergy. We need to work with the trade associations and the chambers of commerce in Kowloon City to provide more discounts in order to attract audience to stay in the area to spend, so we can attract more footfall even after the events. Thank you. I so submit.
Mr. Ma Feng-kwok. President, I speak in support of Mr. Kenneth FOK's motion and other amendments. As an international financial center and a cultural exchange center, we have rich resources. With the recovery of Hong Kong, we need to develop mega events economy. We need to have more events in order to promote the development of the economy. This year, it is said that we would have a 2.0 blueprint for development of tourism that would set out directions. We will also have a cross-departmental working group to improve coordination, to promote tourism hotspots, and create a better experience for tourists. The government will continue to take a proactive approach to host more mega events and bring about prosperity in other industries as well. This is all good, but we need to make sure we have high quality development instead of focusing only on the numbers. So I ask there to be institutional reforms to enhance efficiency, to make sure we have cost effectiveness of mega events. It is said that 210 mega events will be held this year. In the first half, 93 of next year, 93 events will be held. I urge the government to publish the criteria of mega events. There should be objective indicators. In other places, the definition of mega events should attract a large number of overseas and local spectators, and there should be widespread media attention for such events. With a large amount of public money invested, we need to attract attention in order to call these events mega events. But the so-called mega events that the government supports, the scale of such aren't even large. There is no wide public participation locally, not to mention visitors. There should be objective indicators, therefore. If we have too many mega events, it can divert attention from the true mega events, and we cannot allocate resources to the events that need the most attention. The Mega ACE Fund has been in operation for approximately 1 year and a half. We have not assessed its operations still. We have 200 millions invested, and at most it's $15 million for one event. We want the events to bring about development in different traits. If we have a mega event, 15 million investment may not do much, which is why what Mr. Kenneth FOK said about enhancing financial support, that is supported. We need to make good use of public resources, and we need to make sure mega events are cost effective, that will actually foster a festive atmosphere and nurture a sense of identity among citizens. Recently, the government published a blueprint for the development of arts and creative industries. 71 recommendations were published, and we are to have more cultural exchange activities as well as to have a platform for cultural exchange. I support the direction to be taken. It's now about what we have to do for implementation. It's about investing in the West Kowloon Cultural District Tech Sports Park and how we can make good use of such infrastructure together with the efforts of civic society and the software as well as market input to make good use of these to support the mega events economy, to generate economic benefits, and to make Hong Kong a true mega events capital. Thank you. Dr. Johnny Ng. Thank you. I would first like to thank Mr. Kenneth FOK for proposing this motion. Hosting mega events has strategic importance for Hong Kong. Apart from attracting overseas visitors to Hong Kong, it will bring about great economic benefits to different trades. It will also give off the impression that Hong Kong is an international city that would help with the 8 centers positioning of Hong Kong. We will have 93 mega events next year. It will attract over 940,000 visitors. That is double the year before. I urge the government to do more to enhance the attractiveness of mega events. There should be more financial support for mega events to support mega events to become regular occurrences. I suggest the government to refer to the experiences of other places and other organizations that are well experienced in hosting mega events. For example, in Singapore, since 2008, they have been holding F1 races. It is government-led. They work with private companies to host such events. With the government's participation, the government would have a say in how to do things. In Hong Kong, unfortunately, we lack infrastructure. For example, recently, KeyTech has suspended operations. We have one less venue for exhibitions and performances. We need to have more large-scale exhibition and performance venues in order to host more mega events. Apart from the KeyTech Sports Park, we need to have more venues for social activities. We can perhaps have more venues in old districts. In KeyTech, we can also have more dedicated performance venues. Third, we can work with other GBA cities to host mega events. We should discuss the vision of work with mainland authorities to create better value for events held. This would also resolve the problem of constraints faced by Hong Kong in the lack of resources. We can achieve a win-win situation with collaborating with different bodies. We have recently the blueprint on the development of arts and creative industries promulgated. It provides direction for Hong Kong to develop its culture even further. We have rich culture in manga as well as pop songs, etc. We can work with other GBA cities to host performance events so as to generate economic benefits that will bring about development of other trades as well. Lastly, on promotion of mega events, Tourism Board, the Trade Development Council, and the trade offices can work together to promote to tourists the mega events to be held. The government can also enhance publicity by hosting other activities related to mega events to create an atmosphere conducive to such events. We have many uncertainties in the external environment. We face many challenges ahead. We need to find new growth areas. With the development of mega events economy, we will be able to undergo high quality development, and we should be able to pool more resources and generate economic benefits. Thank you. Mr. Chiu Ka-fai. After the pandemic, the consumption patterns have changed. The Liberal Party has all along called for the government to host events of different scales as well as mega events to attract tourists to come to Hong Kong and locals to spend more in Hong Kong. I thank the government for holding different activities such as the Night Vibes events in different districts, as well as mega events economy. I believe these will help the economy. On mega events, in 2024, we have approximately 240 mega events attracting over 2 million tourists. It is more than the estimation of the government earlier of $1.7 million visitors. But of course, because we are using government resources, we need to be prudent. Recently, the government announced that this year's deficit may go up to $100 billion from the originally estimated $40 billion. So we need to focus on cost effectiveness. And how we should define mega events to be supported by the government, and a tiered system of mega events. We need to think about this, because if there are mega events but not many people went, or not many people even knew about it, it doesn't mean anything. For example, in West Kowloon, from October for 3 consecutive months, they would have M+ nighttime activities with different themes. But honestly, I only found out about it recently. I would say this, in this year, we have heard many members call for the government to have better publicity for events. In fact, the Retail Association also said when the government is hosting mega events, the retail sector should be made aware of such as soon as possible, because they would want to promote that as well, so that more customers would come out and spend. If the retail sector didn't know, how can they work with the government on this? So you need to provide such information to the retail sector, and the retail sector may be able to provide more offers or specific products to reap the benefits of mega events. For these activities, let me say this, we have limited resources. When assessing these events to be held, I hope that the government would remain prudent. I believe more would be asking for events to be held. In fact, in October, on the 1st of December, there were multi-entry visa arrangements promulgated, and we have seen more people come to Hong Kong. Before, there were perhaps only 6 million people eligible. Now we have over 10 million people who may be eligible for such arrangements. We should see more people in Hong Kong in future. And maybe if there are mega events, they may stay here for longer or just overnight. It would be appreciated. We also have the advantage that we have some traditional attractions, for example, the fruit market in Yan Wah Tei and the flower market in Mongkok, etc. That does not require specific investment from the government. As long as we promote these attractions, a lot of visitors should be interested in going there. Thank you.
Mr. Chu Kwok-keung. President, I speak in support of the motion moved by Mr. Kenneth FOK and also the various amendments. Mega event is one of the 5 directions to develop sports in Hong Kong. Now, with the upcoming completion of the Kai Tak Sports Park, it will be commissioned in the first quarter next year. It will become the largest ever sports infrastructure in Hong Kong. It will also be the largest platform for promoting sports mega events. In 2004, the M-mark system was implemented through direct subsidy and indirect fund. NSAs and private organizations are sponsored to host mega sports events. A number of sports events have been held under the M-mark system. However, there are views that the government is only offering financial support for the events and advice for publicity. This is not sufficient to build Hong Kong into an international sports metropolis. We need to have cross-sectoral, cross-disciplinary, and tripartite collaboration. After the messy incidents at the beginning of this year, the government said it would review the M-mark system. 2024 is drawing to a close. I hope that the government can announce the results of the review soon so that we can consolidate our position as an international mega event city. Strategically, organizing sports events can make Hong Kong a metropolis of mega sports events. With the commissioning of the Kai Tak Sports Park and the existing sports facilities in the public and private sector, we can say that we have all the necessary hardware. Still, we need to have the software. Now, the NSAs and also public and private bodies face the challenges of manpower shortage and lack of experience. The talents are not sufficient to meet the ever-rising demand in terms of organization of mega events. Now, the last time we held a mega-scale international sports event was the 2009 International Winter Olympics. Now, together with several cities, we are going to host the 15 Asian National Games and then the 22nd National Games for the disabled and also the 19th Special National Games. These are opportunities for us to accumulate experience to prepare us for applying to be the host city of mega-scale sports events. It is estimated that this year's fiscal deficits will snowball to $100 billion. Now, at this juncture, some may think it is pointless to talk about deepening our efforts to develop sports. However, there is a trend of minimalism in hosting sports events elsewhere. Also, by collaborating with other cities and avoiding building permanent stadiums and also inviting supports from the private sector, we can cut the cost significantly. We can also draw reference from our neighboring cities' experience. We can apply to host smaller scale international sports events, for example, Youth Olympics, Olympics for the hardest hearings, and University Students Olympics. The point is we need to keep these stadiums running so that we can continue to generate income for the industry. Mr. Brave Chan. Thank you, President. Also thank the Undersecretary and the relevant officials for listening to our views. We fully support the motion moved by Mr. Kenneth FOK, that is to explore the reform of mechanisms on all fronts to strengthen the role of events capital. I think we should also enhance quantity and quality, especially the latter. This will galvanize our brand as an international sports events capital. Now, like Mr. Pak-leung said, tourism is everywhere in Hong Kong. Now, with the central government support, we have more cities under the single permit multiple entry visa schemes. We are more attractive to medium to high-end visitors from the mainland. Now, maybe we can't have mega events everywhere in Hong Kong, but I need to praise the Chief Executive and the CSTB and the Tourism Commissioner for promoting mega events in Hong Kong. In terms of quantity, over the past year, under the mega events economy principle, so far 210 mega events have been held, attracting more than 1.7 million visitors to Hong Kong, generating $7.2 billion in consumption. Next year, there will be 93 mega events and counting. So quantity is not the problem. The problem is ensuring the quality and translating these events into economic benefits. So in terms of enhancement of quality, Panda is the buzz topic in the city. Many council members, including Ms. Dari Lee, have been embracing big pandas, giant pandas. This is, of course, an exciting event, but how can we turn it into money. Now, I support establishing a tier system for mega events. Now, for those which can generate income for the government and eliminate the deficit, these should be tier 1 mega events. Now, we need to be efficient as well as cost efficient. In terms of efficiency, Mr. John Lee has been calling for us to reform ourselves. So the original application period is 42 days. Can we reduce the application period and help the applicants organize the events sooner? Now, on the prerequisites of safety, we can enhance the speed a lot. Now, we have fireworks, and also we have vessels adorned with lights. So this is how we are enhancing the quality of our attractions as well. I also support the idea of reviewing the results of the mega events. Now, of course, at night, light show is attractive, but what about in daytime? And also, there is the so-called blue, green, black and white tourism and red tourism. Black and white means panda. Now, there is also red tourism, that is tourism about the country, and also blue and green tourism in the sense of country parks and marine parks. Now, we need to be cost effective while rapidly generating income from these projects. Now, on a side note, the DAB, together with the China Travel Agency, with the help of the Commissioner of Tourism, we're going to host a Hello Panda event at the Victoria Harbour. Now, not every visitor can get a ticket into the ocean park, but with our event, we can attract tens of thousands of visitors to greet the Chinese pandas. So like the policy address, if we can reform ourselves and seek development, we can create a bright future for the people. The point is we have to be cost efficient, be quick about this, and also work together and maximize the economic benefits. Thank you. I remind members, according to the rules of procedures, this motion will close at 5:30 p.m. today at the latest. At around 5, I will invite the mover to speak, and then we will go through with the remaining procedures. Mr. Adrian Ho. Thank you, President. I thank Mr. Kenneth FOK for moving this motion so that we can explore how we can turn Hong Kong into an event capital. Just last week, the government has announced that the application procedures would be improved for the Arts and Culture and Creative Events Fund. The target is to sponsor 10 projects each year. That is the Mega A's Fund. Now, please pause, Mr. Adrian Ho. We couldn't hear you. Please continue. My apologies, President. In this year's policy address, the policy address mentioned that we will host more international events to develop a whole city economy. Now, according to the central government's plan, we need to pursue joint developments along the Belt and Road to develop a sports industry. Now, we should host a Belt and Road Sports Day. Mr. Adrian Ho, please use the mic on the next seat. Please use Dr. Lam's microphone. Please continue. Thank you. Now, the New People's Party suggests the Hong Kong SAR government to proactively obtain approval from the central government to host a Belt and Road sports events in the next 2 or 3 years. Now, like the national games, we should co-host the events with other GBA cities. By harnessing resources in the region, we can turn Hong Kong into a key node for developing sports in the region. This can also enhance our connectivity with the Belt and Road countries. It is a good opportunity for us to tell good stories of the country and Hong Kong. Now, there are several types of mega events: sports, trade talks, exhibitions, and entertainment. In terms of sports competition, we have been very successful. We have Rugby 7 and the golf tournament, and also the upcoming international squash competition. Now, I hope that more international sports events can be attracted to take place in Hong Kong. Now, in terms of exhibition, Hong Kong is the leading city in the Asian region. With the support of the country and our connectivity with the world, a lot of world-famous financial forums choose Hong Kong as a seat. Now, entertainment, concerts is the first thing that come to mind. Now, we have a concert economy, but I don't know what has happened. It seems that we are outcompeted by our neighboring cities in terms of concerts. Now, Macau is one of those neighbors. True, concerts takes place over the weekend, but in 2023, Macau has hosted more than 280 concerts. That number puts us to shame. There are excuses that we don't have the hardware, but just look at Hong Kong Coliseum. In the fourth quarter, the schedule of the Hong Kong Coliseum is very busy. There are 5 shows. However, more than half of the slots are not filled. Is it because Hong Kong Coliseum has lost its attractiveness? That doesn't seem to be the case, because a lot of singers have told us that they failed to apply for a slot after 10 applications. Is the government too choosy? Now, if you look at Macau, CHENG has hosted more than 30 sessions of concerts in Macau, generating some $500 million. CHENG is our local singer. Actually, most singers holding concerts in Macau are from Hong Kong. So why don't we have more concerts here? Now, in January, there seems to be 2 concerts only taking place in the Hong Kong Coliseum. Why is that? I think we have to think harder to promote the development of our concert economy.
Mr. Chen Kim-po, thank you, President. Hong Kong is in a unique geographical location. We have different cultural elements. Recently, because of geopolitical reasons, we see a change in visitors' consumption behavior. There is a need for us to reform our mechanisms. Mr. Kenneth FOK's motion, as well as other members' amendments, are very insightful. I want to talk about the following points. The Hong Kong Coliseum started operation was built in 1983. It could house 15,000 people. It could be used to host different concerts and large-scale events. It is the most representative venue for the Hong Kong pop music sector. Apart from Hong Kong Coliseum, we have other sports venues. However, it is not enough for us to break even just by holding sports events. That's why it is mainly used for music events. It's been used for 41 years now. In the future, most of the events will be held in the Kai Tak Sports Park. I suggest that the government upgrade the facilities in the Hong Kong Coliseum so that it can be a major concert venue in Hong Kong. We can draw reference from the venues in Macau. There are venues in Macau which can house 16,000 spectators. There are also VIP seats and corners in those venues. Some say that Hong Kong Coliseum is old, but it is in a good geographical location. It is well served by public transportation. Therefore, a lot of concerts have been held in the Coliseum. It consists of many memories of people in Hong Kong, and it is a place that a lot of fans in Hong Kong go to. It is an advantage of Hong Kong. There are many large-scale maintenance works being carried out in the Coliseum, but the venue may no longer be able to meet the demands. The government should accept people's views. For example, based on international standards, the government should enhance the standards for the audio system, for example, in the Hong Kong Coliseum, so that the distance between singers as well as spectators can be shortened. It is through this upgrading that we can attract more visitors to come to Hong Kong to attend concerts. In order to build ourselves into an events capital, we need to upgrade our facilities. For example, the Queen Elizabeth Stadium was established in the 80s, and it can house some 40,000 spectators. It's been used for 40 years, and it can enhance people's experience. For the Hong Kong Stadium, it consists of many people's memories about mega events. After the commissioning of the Kai Tak Sports Park, the Hong Kong Stadium should be reopened to offer another option for people. Also, it should be a major venue on the Hong Kong island. For the Kai Tak Sports Park, there are 3 major parts, including the main stadium, which can house 50,000 spectators. There is also the sports ground with a few thousand seats, and there is the youth sports ground as well. In order to ensure a good experience for spectators, the government needs to enhance the supporting facilities. For example, public transportation network has to be improved to ensure that crowds can be dispersed within a short time. There's also need to upgrade facilities such as toilets as well as food kiosks. There should be multi-purpose venues within the Kai Tak Sports Park so that different types of events can be held there. I so submit. Thank you. Ms. Maggie Chen. Thank you, President. I speak in support of Mr. Kenneth FOK's motion on exploring the reform of mechanisms on all fronts to strengthen the role of events capital. I also speak in support of other members' amendments. Mega event economy is one way to diversify the local economy's development. It is also indispensable in order for us to build ourselves into an international center. In his 2024 policy address, the chief executive says clearly that in order to build an international sports events capital, we have to comprehensively strengthen the relevant mechanisms and systems. And this is an urgent task. This year, it is believed that the government will face a fiscal deficit of over $100 billion. I think the government should leverage Hong Kong's unique advantages. It should allocate resources sensibly to make sure that all the money spent can bring about the maximum and greatest effect. It should link up different trades and sectors to identify new growth points. On sports events, I have the following 5 suggestions. First, Hong Kong needs to hold sports events. We should focus not only on the quality but also quantity. We should build ourselves into an international events capital as well as an international center for sports cultural exchange. We should make good use of the Kai Tak Sports Park. We should also take the opportunity to hold the 15 national games to deepen our role as a sports capital, to tell good stories of Hong Kong. Secondly, we have to make good use of our unique advantages. We should focus our resources on developing sports events, for example, 7 rugby sevens, we should have horse racing, as well as golf events to cultivate world-class athletic talents. Thirdly, the SAR government should show to the world that we have the advantages to host sports events. We should attract overseas and foreign capital, as well as private enterprises to devote resources into holding sports events. We should tell people that there are government-funded sports events. Importantly, the government should state clearly in the contracts the relevant KPIs. For events that fail to meet the KPIs, the government should impose punishment on the relevant event organizers, for example, reducing the funding for these organizers. The government should also stipulate the obligations and responsibility of event organizers and tell them that they have the responsibility to build the positive image of Hong Kong. Fourthly, we should develop the relevant industries through mega events, for example, shipping, hotel, and arts and cultural products, as well as sports services. We should also build sports arbitration. We should improve relevant supporting measures and facilities, for instance, public transportation, entertainment, and so on. Fifthly, we should build Hong Kong into an international sports arbitration center. Apart from arbitration, we should also focus on adjudicating. We should nurture sports talents so that we have more say in the international world. Overall speaking, I speak in support of Mr. Kenneth FOK's motion. I think we should focus resources on strengthening the mechanisms in order to promote sports events. We should not build ourselves just into a sports events capital, but in the long run, we have to inject new impetus into this sector. I so submit. Thank you. Mr. Duncan Chu. Thank you, President. I thank Mr. Kenneth FOK for the motion. In order to build ourselves into an events capital and ensure sustainable development of our economy, we need comprehensive planning. Members mentioned about a lot of suggestions. For instance, we need capital, talent, venues, and dates, and so on. However, I want to bring up one point, that is data. Over the past year, the government has spent a lot of money on hosting different mega events. A lot of times people question whether the money is well spent. For example, how many people participated in these events? Are these events able to boost people's sense of well-being, so on? And what is the economic benefits brought by these events? In order to build ourselves into an events capital and to promote mega event economy, we have to look at the returns. We need precise data in order to have an assessment of this. We have to understand what kind of events we have to invest in. A lot of times, the government does not have a grasp of the data. For example, this March, I proposed an oral question mentioning that this spring, we have to look at the visitor numbers, how long the visitors stayed in Hong Kong, the per capita spending of each visitor, and where these visitors go to, etc. I hope the government can have a better grasp of this data in order to ensure to enable comprehensive planning. So far, we are getting these data through the questionnaires distributed by the Tourism Board. The government has been holding large-scale concerts and mega events. Apart from ticket sales as well as number of visitors, we have to know where these visitors are from and where these visitors spent their money on. Did they visit high-end hotels, or did they go to a budget restaurant or mediocre restaurant? We need data like these in order to in a targeted manner allocate resources. A lot of commercial entities have these data. For example, outbound travelers, they no longer use cash. Some credit card companies, they have a lot of such data. I've talked to some credit card companies as well as companies that work on mobile payment. They have different data, including data of visitors from different nationalities. For example, do these visitors go to high-end restaurants or mediocre restaurants? Credit card companies as well as mobile payment companies have all these data. They also have their own ways to come up with charts and on these data. Have we thought about making use of these data to better promote a mega event economy? Also, we have seen different types of mega events this year. I have to declare that I am the chairman of the Squad Sports Association. We are going to hold 2 MMark events this year. There are over 30 MMark events this year, which has increased exponentially compared to the past. Have we assessed how many venues we can use in Hong Kong? Apart from weekends as well as major festivals, we have events held on other dates. We can not just blindly increase the number of mega events we hold. We have to think about what kind of events we have to focus on. For instance, for some events, they need venues, and I as a chairman of one of the NSAs, I can offer some of my advice. I want to say that I don't agree so much on the term panda economy. It is a term coined by our country. I don't want to assess our economic growth based on panda. We can assess some of the events based on the economic benefits. Thank you.
Mr. Martin Liao. President, hosting mega events would generate economic benefits. It can also enhance reputation of Hong Kong. Hong Kong has long been an Asian metropolis. We have favorable conditions to develop a mega events economy. I agree with what Mr. Kenneth FOK said about having a tier definition of mega events. We have approximately 200 mega events this year, but the events that truly attracted footfall and had widespread media attention were few. Some had really niche audiences. They did not really attract many overseas visitors. They did not generate much economic benefit as a result. But we also have the Rugby Sevens, the Doraemon exhibition that have attracted a large number of visitors. It has also created impetus for growth in various industries. So I think the government can learn from this experience. The government, being in a tight fiscal position, should better allocate resources. The government should do more to attract events with a large audience to Hong Kong. We should also consolidate our cultural brands in order to enhance our soft cultural power and attract visitors with our culture. We had the Rugby Sevens Doraemon exhibition as well as a concert that really shows the generous economic benefits brought about by IP. I hope that the government will take into account the latest trends, make good use of networks of organizers to have more organizers host such events in Hong Kong. We also need to prevent duplication of similar events. We need to make sure there is diversity and creativity with the events held in order to enhance attractiveness of events to locals and visitors. With the hosting of mega events, we need to have ancillary support in terms of marketing and logistics. When assessing mega events to be held, we should also look at operators' ability to host similar events. We also need to make sure there is collaboration between the organizers and different departments, as well as other merchants in the nearby areas, to make sure there is a synergy so as to make sure we are making good use of the mega events. We also need to make sure the terms with the organizers would not hurt the interests of consumers. We need to also think about the non-economic benefits generated. We have different culture festivals as well as film festivals of Hong Kong. These would show the great and open culture of Hong Kong. We can have elites in these areas that will show our vibrancy of our culture. We will also have international financial events that will give off a good impression to overseas investors. I hope the government can coordinate different tiers of mega events to create synergy and develop the mega events economy. I so submit, President. Reverend Peter Kun. President, in recent years, the government said to develop mega events economy to grow the economy. With the hosting of mega events, it will bring about more people and generate economic benefits. That is a good direction to take. But if we have more mega events, does it mean we are truly doing well? If that is really the case, we wouldn't see the tourism sector complaining that they are not doing well. There are KPIs for the number of mega events, but if we overly focus on KPIs, we are just measuring the quantitative output. And in fact, we would think about spending as well. While people may spend, but we may not have achieved cost effectiveness. In fact, in the mega events calendar, there are some exhibitions that were held before. They were not new. For example, the Expo for baby products. These are just general exhibitions, really. If one puts in photo taking hotspots and claim that event to be a mega event, it may give off the wrong impression that we are aiming for quantity only but not quality. Not only will it divert attention from the truly mega events, it does not help with resource allocation. Resources cannot be allocated to the events most in need. To attract visitors, of course, having mega events would be nice, but then we need to make sure the events are characteristic. They should also be affordable, or they should be worth it. We shouldn't focus only on the quantity. We should focus on the quality. We need to make sure the events are of high quality. When assessing such events to be held in future, the government should review its strategy and positioning. We also have ancillary support for events. We need manpower, transport, receiving capacity, as well as quality of services. The government wants people to tell good stories of Hong Kong, but right now people see, for example, the cruise terminal is not doing too well. We have heard often complaints about the transport support at the cruise terminal. Many passengers had to wait. How would they be able to tell good stories of Hong Kong? Many visitors would take taxis, but then, as locals would know, taking taxis is not exactly a pleasant experience. There have been many complaints over charging, not taking the most direct route, not accepting hire. There are really many problems. In order to attract more visitors, the government has to resolve these issues. I hope that the government can work with the relevant sectors to enhance quality of services as well as to make sure the services and events are worth it. I so submit, speaking in support of the motion and the amendments. Thank you, President. Mr. Pak-leung. Thank you, President. I would like to thank Mr. Kenneth FOK for moving this motion. Developing mega events economy should be a strategy. We shouldn't only focus on the quantity. I do know the CSTB has a heavy workload and faces much pressure. I appreciate your efforts so far, but I think Mr. Kenneth FOK's motion is a call for action to make sure the Bureau would have to review its strategy and to ponder its direction ahead. We can have some objective indicators for events, but we shouldn't only have that. We should have indicators for the scale of events, whether it has attracted overseas visitors, 2, whether it generates economic benefits, 3, whether it can become a regular event, 4, whether it has local characteristics, 5, whether it can become an international brand. These are all very important. If we focus only on the number of spectators, it does not really count. We have always talked about night vibes. Night vibes do not really attract any overseas visitors. We only have local spending at these events. It does not generate much economic benefits. In Las Vegas and Barcelona, they have events that will bring about a great percentage of the GDP's economic benefits. The government departments would focus on marketing for these events, and they would have specific support for these events. Let me say this, the government would require input from different sectors of the community. The government can provide support and coordination. We shouldn't either leave the private sector to their own devices, or the government should not intervene too much. We shouldn't go to these extremes. These can only harm the government. With going to the extremes, it brings about problems. We need events to have local characteristics in order to make Hong Kong an events capital. If we only have private sector host events, it cannot help the mega events economy. They can create brands, but it is not a brand of Hong Kong. For example, Rugby Sevens, Art Basel, and the International Financial Forum. We have a good reputation, but we can infuse them with more local characteristics. we can make these events more internationalized by doing so. For example, we can have local fashion designers hold fashion shows just like what we have in Milan and Paris. The government's target is to host 100 odd events in the first half next year. We think that is too many. We should focus on the quality of events. For the true mega events, it would require much support and planning. If Hong Kong wants to improve on this, we need to have an innovative mindset. We need to provide organizers with high quality support to host the true mega events so that we can develop mega events economy. I so submit speaking in support of the motion and the amendments.
Mr. Yim Kong. Thank you, President. In the upcoming 15th National Games co-hosted by Hong Kong, Macau, and Shenzhen, we expect economic benefits to be generated. It will also help further our mission to implement tourism is everywhere in Hong Kong. It will also promote Chinese culture in Hong Kong. I support the motion and the amendments. Riding on the opportunities of reform, we need to promote events economy in Hong Kong. First of all, now with our successful experience in participating in the Asian Games and the Olympics, when we host the national games, we should promote more sports events with the Chinese genes, for example, martial arts and so on, and Tai Chi. In Hong Kong, we have never held a national leagues events. We don't have regional tournaments held in Hong Kong as well. Now in Singapore, they have just been holding the Golf Master competition. The hosts would alternate between Singapore and Sichuan. So in terms of promotion of culture and attracting talents, Hong Kong can become an attractive host city for these events. With the support of the country, we can give play to our role as a melting pot of culture and promote Chinese culture to the world and also the country's soft power. Also, we should be the coordinator in the Greater Bay Area or even in the world. We have a bigger role to play in terms of sports arbitration. Recently, the Hong Kong Olympic Committee has successfully applied for a seat in the National Forum. Governance framework has been promulgated. Now, with our positioning as the sports arbitration center in the country, we should lead other cities in the Bay Area to establish a recognized sports disputes resolution system to ensure the steady development of the sports industry. While the events economy requires a lot of manpower in the retail and service industries, I suggest that we offer working holiday visas to mainland students so that they can come to work in Hong Kong for a short period of time. And according to the latest manpower projection, the hotel accommodation, retail, and food and beverages industry will have a manpower shortage of 20,000 people in a few years' time. Now, we have working holiday arrangements with 14 countries, but that does not include the mainland. Now, we should consider extending the working holiday program to the mainland so that more post-secondary students can make use of their study breaks to work in Hong Kong. This will inject new impetus into our tourism sector and also alleviates the manpower stress. On the other hand, it will also expand our source markets and help us develop our events economy. President, riding on the opportunity of co-hosting the national games, we should review our strategy and galvanize our brand as the events capital in Asia. Mr. Kenneth FOK, you may now speak on the amendments. Thank you, President. I thank the 5 members who moved the amendments. In terms of regional planning, regional economy, and also infrastructure development, they have enriched my motion to expand the horizon. The 5 amendments actually echo my motion. In her speech, Ms. Yuet-ming mentioned that we should make good use of large-scale venues in Hong Kong, Kowloon, and the new territories for mega events. She also mentioned extreme sports, emerging sports. This is actually the spirit of my motion. We need to change our mindset. Shenzhen, to the north of the northern metropolis, should be a place to house emerging sports, for example, extreme sports. I believe that we can attract more tourists to consume, to spend the money in Hong Kong by doing this. Now, Mr. Perry Yu's amendment is about linking up different trades. This requires government leadership. Say, for example, Team Lab. That was a very good event hosted by Team Lab. So the KPI was the number of visitation. However, the business sector should also be involved. The entrance fee is not important. More importantly, we should encourage participation in consumption behavior. For example, if a visitor has bought a packet of coffee beans, they would be allowed an entrance free of charge. Now, Dr. Hoey Simon Lee mentioned about the management model. The focus is to create a thrilling ambience. I agree. If you have been to Rugby 7, you can feel the tangible excitement. Now, besides high-level competition of skills, the experience of entertainment is also important. Golf is an example. In the past, golf was a very serious sport. You can't even talk loudly. Now, it is different. There will be DJ doing disc jockeying, and people will be singing along with the players. So I agree with the amendment. Mr. Bill Tang also mentioned the timing. Now, during the F1 race in Singapore, at the same time, there would be a lot of financial forums taking place in Singapore. It would extend the duration of stay of visitors in Singapore and enhance consumption. Now, cross-departmental collaboration is naturally a must. Now, the Dragon Boat race faced a number of challenges. LCSD required the Marine Department's help. Now, Mr. Michael Tien's amendments mentioned the planning for multi-purpose venue. Now, Formula One race course is a prime example. The F1 industry is expanding, and the industry chain has been expanded. Now, in Singapore, the tourism authority would invest together with private investors and make a long-term investment. That's the change of mindset I'm talking about. We need to have public-private partnership. Now, tennis is also very important. We need to revamp the tennis court in Victoria Park. And also, we have a lot of private tennis courts and also LCSD venue. We should make Causeway Bay a place a paradise for tennis players. Now, I support the government in adopting an innovative mindset to conduct high-level planning to boost the sports industry in Hong Kong.
Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism. Deputy President, I thank Mr. Kenneth FOK again for his motion, as well as the members for their amendments and the 30 other members for their valuable views. We will carefully consider members' views, and I'll now respond to the points touched upon by some members in their speeches. On proactively attracting mega events, earlier this year, the government announced a series of measures to proactively promote and attract mega events to Hong Kong. In his 2024 policy address, the chief executive also reiterated the proactive approach, emphasizing both quality and quantity, and that we will continue to promote diverse events that are rich in content. Some members expressed views on whether individual events should be included in the calendar of mega events. We think that major events can be of different types and scales. There are events that draw a lot of sectors' attention and they bring about positive impact to the market. We will continue to consider the three major factors. That is, whether we can attract visitors to take part in the events, whether we can help increase Hong Kong's visibility on the global radar, and whether we can demonstrate Hong Kong's strategic position. We will take into account these factors as we decide whether to include the events into the calendar. Collaborating with the sectors. Regarding member suggestions about crossovers and collaborations, we mentioned in the opening remarks that we share the same views. Early publication of the calendar is essential to promoting cross-sector collaborations among different trades and event organizers. This enables trade members to make early preparations to launch a wide range of tourism products and dining packages. This helps stimulate consumption and create economic benefits. We'll continue to improve the calendar. For example, we'll update the calendar more frequently by way of rolling updates to enable the public to access the latest information and better make use of the calendar to maximize the synergy between mega events and tourism. We believe that mega events can help draw visitors, and at the same time, different sectors can make use of these events to promote economic growth. Some members suggested selecting key events for enhanced publicity. In fact, event organizers and relevant bureaus and departments will step up publicity as necessary, while the Tourism Board will assist in the publicity and promotion of mega events according to the actual situation. On funding schemes, we understand that resources are key to promoting mega events. Relevant bureaus, departments, and statutory bodies have been supporting the staging of major international events in Hong Kong through existing resources and funding schemes. There are different funding schemes under the Cultural, Sports and Tourism Bureau. We will, based on different criteria set under the schemes, to come up with an appropriate amount of funding for different schemes. We have reviewed experience of the Mega Arts and Cultural Events Fund in the past year. We propose to introduce matching grants to encourage event organizers to get sponsorship, to boost the participation of the business sector and facilitate industry development. The Mega A's Fund will raise the KPI requirement. For example, it will include indicators on the integration of arts and cultural events with tourism to better monitor the effectiveness of the events. The relevant details were announced on the 30th of November. Also, we're reviewing the effectiveness of the MMARC event scheme, and we will implement the next phase of enhancement measures, including improving the vetting procedures and strengthening the monitoring mechanism to uphold the quality and attractiveness of MMARC events. The above work can help us optimize the vetting and approval procedures and leverage market forces, as well as ensure the quality and effectiveness of the funded events. We'll also consider collecting data in a more comprehensive manner so that we can have better reference. We value members' views on the effectiveness of individual events. We will ensure the effectiveness of different events by making better assessment. I think we should consider the effectiveness in a more holistic manner. As mentioned in my opening remarks, apart from considering economic benefits, we also focus on the intangible benefits brought by these events. I think these events help boost the atmosphere of the community, enable visitors to experience Hong Kong for themselves, and tell good stories of Hong Kong and our country. Apart from cultural, sports, and tourism events, we have the incentive scheme for recurrent exhibitions. In the 2024 policy address, it is announced that the government will allocate another $500 million to the Incentive Scheme 2.0, focusing on supporting new and regular major international exhibitions. The government believes that by offering suitable incentives, more new and regular large-scale international exhibitions will be held in Hong Kong. This will help drive mega event economy and the overall economic growth in Hong Kong. On large-scale event venues, there are several venues suitable for mega events in Hong Kong. There are venues managed by the LCSD, such as the Hong Kong Coliseum, the Queen Elizabeth Stadium, and the Hong Kong Cultural Center. They offer booking arrangements that can facilitate the holding of mega events. For example, priority is given to bookings for major sports events at the two stadiums and arts-related events at the Cultural Center. LCSD has also put in place a special booking arrangement for large-scale events that need to be planned in advance and feature renowned overseas artists. Organizers can submit booking applications to LCSD more than 1 year in advance. These applications will be prioritized. The utilization rate of these venues is 100%. There are views that we should upgrade the Hong Kong Coliseum. If we upgrade the facilities now, it might affect the schedule of concerts and events planned to be held there. A number of major international conventions and exhibition shows and carnivals are held at two major convention and exhibition venues, namely the Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Center and the Asia World Expo. In the long run, the government will continue to expand the convention and exhibition facilities, including the expansion of Asia World Expo and the implementation of the Wan Chai North Redevelopment Project, to meet the needs of different activities. As regards the Central Harbourfront event space, it is a site leased to the private sector by the Development Bureau under a short-term tenancy through open tender. It is to encourage creativity in the market. To help promote event-based tourism, the government will continue to require operators of the Central Harbourfront event space and other harbourfront spaces to bring in diversified and large-scale outdoor activities. As mentioned in the opening remarks, with the completion of the Kai Tak Sports Park, we believe that the park will provide a new and attractive venue for Hong Kong sports, cultural, and entertainment events. The Kai Tak Sports Park Limited has already approached and talked to 200 local and overseas sports and non-sports promotion bodies, organizations, and agencies. We believe that the sports park will bring significant synergy to Hong Kong, while promoting sports in the community, supporting elite sports, promoting Hong Kong as a center for major sports events, enhancing professionalism, and developing sports as an industry. It will drive the development of related industries, such as entertainment, performance, and tourism. Some members suggested building more new large-scale venues. The construction of these venues involve many considerations. We have to think about the suitability of the site, the ancillary facilities, as well as financial sustainability, so on. We will monitor the development of the Kai Tak Sports Park as well as the overall supply and demand of venues as we come up with a plan. Some members suggest upgrading the Victoria tennis courts. At present, the Victoria Park tennis courts comprise a main court with a seating capacity of 3,600 seats and 13 standard tennis courts, which are suitable for hosting events including the men's professional tennis tournaments and the women's professional tennis tournaments. The LCSD has been consulting the relevant NSAs and carrying out enhancement works for the tennis courts to meet the requirements for international tennis events. Major in-situ renovation works will inevitably affect the regular international tournaments held every year and other tennis lovers. So we have to be careful as we make plans. LCSD will continue to maintain close liaison with the relevant NSAs to discuss the feasibility of enhancing these facilities to attract more high-level tennis events to be held in Hong Kong. We've heard views from members about the Sunny Bay Reclamation Area. In late 2022, the government announced a preliminary proposal of the Kaohsiung Artificial Islands project. It was proposed to construct a railway connection linking Hong Kong Island West to Hung Shui-Kiu and to use part of the proposed Sunny Bay reclamation as a depot facility. According to the CEDD feasibility study on the Sunny Bay reclamation, there is planned that in 2025, we will kickstart the environmental impact assessment procedure. Upon finalizing the reclamation scope, the government will explore the land uses. The government will make reference to the facilities in the neighboring areas and the market demand and explore the provision of recreational and entertainment facilities, including multi-purpose venues and a motor racing circuit. On Northern Metropolis, some members suggested providing venues in the Northern Metropolis. The government will stick to the Hong Kong planning standards and guidelines in providing recreational and sports facilities. We also plan to, in new towns in new territories north, provide more venues. We have plans to train up athletes as well as organize competitions. We will make use of the geographical location of the Northern Metropolis to enhance collaboration and exchanges with the GBA. On making use of country parks to develop extreme sports, the purpose of country parks is to conserve the nature and to provide the public with recreational and outdoor facilities. In providing extreme sports venues, the government has to take into account different factors, including the impacts of the events on the environment as well as other visitors, public safety as well as the compatibility of the facilities with the vicinity, and so on. We're going to hold the 15th National Games. As well as the 9th Special Olympics. The General Administration of Sports of China and the China Disabled Persons Federation is working. They're working with the SAR government. Also, we are taking forward different preparatory work. For example, we are organizing test events for the 8 sports items in the Hong Kong region of the Games, and we are organizing test events for the cross-boundary road cycling and athletics marathon in Zhuhai and Shenzhen to ensure that the competitions will be held in an orderly manner. We'll strive to do our best in organizing the events, and we'll work together with Guangdong and Macau to present a sports events with characteristics. We will take stock of the experience and build a good foundation for future sports events. On collaboration with the GBA, apart from the 15th National Games as well as the GBA Cultural Festival, we are organizing different events with the GBA cities. For example, the government organized the Shenzhen and Hong Kong co-reading event, and we also held exhibitions as well as book sharing exhibitions to highlight different intangible cultures and books. And in 2024, we held the Hong Kong Reading Week. There was an exhibition with a designated Shenzhen zone to share with readers in Hong Kong about books from Shenzhen to create a reading culture. We will continue to work with GBA cities, including Macau, to deepen the collaboration. To summarize, our views are consistent with the members' views, and we have displayed our advantages in hosting mega events, and at the same time, we have drawn attention of many people as we hold all these events. Government's policy and bureaus, as well as public and private organizations, they should help promote a culture of supporting and facilitating the successful hosting of mega events in Hong Kong. And we should showcase Hong Kong's appeal as a world city of mega events.
I now call upon Ms. Chen Yuet-ming to move an amendment. President, I move my amendment. I propose the question to you that Ms. Chen Yuet-ming's amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present that I declare the amendments passed. Mr. Perry-Yu, as the previous amendments has been passed, you may move your further amendments. President, I move my further amendments. I propose the question to you that Mr. Perry-Yu's further amendments be passed. With those in favour, please raise their hands. Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendments passed. Dr. Hoey, Simon Lee, as the previous amendments are passed, you may move your further amendments. President, I move my further amendments. I propose the question to you that Dr. Hoey, Simon Lee's further amendments be passed. With those in favour, please raise their hands. Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendments passed. Mr. Vincent Zhang, as the previous amendments are passed, you may move your further amendments. President, I move my further amendment. I propose the question to you that Mr. Vincent Zhang's further amendments be passed. With those in favour, please raise their hands. Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendments passed. Mr. Michael TIEN, as the previous amendments are passed, you may move your further amendment. President, I move my further amendments. I propose the question to you that Mr. Michael TIEN's further amendments be passed. With those in favour, please raise their hands. Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendments passed. Mr. Kenneth FOK, you still have 53 seconds to reply, then the debate will come to a close. Mr. Kenneth FOK. Thank you, President. I'm grateful for the 40 members today who have moved amendments and given their valuable views on my motion. Your views focus on various aspects. You have provided us with innovative ideas on a comprehensive reform. Now, the Secretary mentioned that the government would consider it prudently. Well, I rather hope the government would consider our views actively so that we can give full play to our mega events and small events to generate economic benefits. I implore members to support my motion. With those, I now put the question to you. That's Mr. Kenneth FOK's motion as amended by Ms. Chen Yuet-ming, Mr. Perry-Yu, Dr. Hoey Simon Lee, Mr. Vincent Zhang, and Mr. Michael TIEN be passed. With those in favour, please raise their hands. Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the motion as amended passed.
Members' motion with no legislative effect. Ms. Carmen Khan will move a motion on strengthening